Hey guys, Lancer here. Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks again for joining me while we look into some more reserve list cards, standard, MTG modern, and also vintage market, and see what exactly has been happening for the last couple of days because things seem to be topping out, at least for some cards. Now, it's not easy to get the latest information just because some things are being manipulated, but when it comes to certain cards like reserve list lands or revised dual lands, and some of the modern cards, they're being bought in a large enough amount that it's easy to keep track of them. So let's look through it. Now, one of the interesting things I've seen is, and this is only happening to one dual land, by the way, and it's only on the average market value. Every single week, the market's been moving up, except for there's been a dip after it really super spiked. But now, for the last couple of weeks, Badlands has actually taken a bit of a dip by about, I don't know, it's like $4. But that is actually something really important to keep an eye on because I know that with the crypto markets down a bit off their all-time highs, there's a very high chance that collectibles as a whole, which I would think of NFTs, cryptos, and card games and Pokemon, etc., all seem to fit into that category. If one of them gets knocked down super hard, the others might follow at least a bit. And even if that doesn't always have to be true, it's something to keep an eye on. Now, I'm not going to say, hey, don't do the same things that I've been telling you guys to do for ages, or other people like Rudy have said. If it's a game that you like, or a collectible that you like, or a investment that you like, then averaging in is always a good idea. Never want to go all in because that's when you FOMO in and get at the top. If you want, you can always average in over time and you always have a backup and make sure that you have enough savings for of survival. That's a separate matter. But anyways, let's continue on. So it looks like the cheapest for Badlands that you can get for a moderately played, which is I aim for, $474. That's still on the very high end. But here's the big thing. There are far more Badlands available than there have been in a long time. That doesn't mean the market price is going to be just dropping down like crazy, because it's important to remember that a lot of these are based on what the market buyer is as well, the shops, because these shops sold at the bottom and now are trying to rebuy. They increase their purchase prices, obviously. So there is a I guess a level of profit that they're going to want to make, and they might be far more careful letting these go. So I'm guessing the profit margins might be a lot higher, probably another 20, 30, 40, maybe even 50% on top of what they used to be before March 2020. So a lot of these prices might be on the high end because they're buying them for a higher price than they. So we'll continue on. Not much has actually changed for the last couple of days. Like, I mean, the last time I got back to you guys was probably a month ago, a week ago. Really, it's just been flat, super flat. There's been a couple of bumps, but even then, like, if I'm going back just a couple of days, it's not enough to keep track of. Some of them are moving up, but like I said, it does feel like a lot of flatlining in the last week. We'll see if this is meant to get a new bump up from the prices. If it's plateaued and it's going to either drop or back up, maybe people might get some diamond hands and hold on, or maybe the exact opposite might happen and people might start losing interest and start moving into something that moves even faster, like Dogecoin or Doggy Coin. But at the same time, that also took a dump. So we'll see what happens. Now, a lightly played Tiger for $427 revised. Yeah, it's still a tricky one. I don't remember how much these be, but like I said, if you're going to buy one once a month, matter. Next, Tropical Island, flatlined for the last month, last 3 weeks. Same thing with Tundra, and I got a bit of a bump coming up for Underground Sea, but nothing too crazy, and a bit of a bump for Volcanic Island. So really, it's been one of those periods in time where you're seeing movement up, but a lot of other collectibles, especially in the crypto, are moving down. So it's important to remember to keep an eye on what the other market well and if you want to get into the market. Next, we'll look at standard. So once again, a lot of the standard movements is Strixhaven. It is very hard to keep track of all this because how many sets and products Wizards of the Coast has been releasing. why they're moving. A lot of insider information seems to be known for at least a couple of these moves. But some big ones to look at is Bright Dragon, but that fell by a large amount, and that's the promo version. Brennan Seri Inseparable. Tome of Legends from Eldraine. That's a new card, so that's fine. And Veto, Thorn of the Dusk Rose. I actually thought this was a good card. I have him in my vampire deck just because this feels like a pretty vampire to have in a deck. And if you're playing a life gain, life loss deck, it's a good card to have in it. It's a walking enchantment that does something similar. So that's a good one. Obviously, Godzilla is still in cinemas, so Godzilla alternative art cards might actually keep up for a little bit. And the Magic Mirror moving up as well. Other than that, the only other one that's actually been dropping this week by 8% is Croxa. The rest of them are Strixhaven cards, so not much point keeping track of them. Next, these Commander cards. Now, some of them are actually insane. Like Scholarship Sponsor, great card. Absolutely amazing. And you buy that in the singles market, I don't think it's worth it yet because while the market adjusts and the news is still that there is a blockage of Commander products, but there will not be any issues as time goes on. Wizards of the Coast is pretty much not print to order, but is trying to keep the supply pretty high. As far as I can tell, you know what? I'm going to just make sure that's true. But as far as I can tell, there should be no reason why there's a limit on the first run of the product. But we'll have to see how the shipping and everything goes. Limit ship Dex quality control support. Yeah, okay. I haven't seen any news articles saying that they're running into shipping orders, but maybe that's a pretty video that I haven't caught up with. But some of these prices are pretty high. It's important to remember that they are selling these decks for around about $40, and can't get them for 40. Might looking in the wrong place because, as far as I can tell, Amazon's meant to have these as well, and then Walmart and Target, and that's for the US side. But for our side, Amazon is always available as well, as long as you're just trying to rip you off. So a couple of these are really, really good. But like I said, if you're going to buy the Commander 2021, buy the Commander pack, and singles only if you are really picky about it. Some of these, there's a lot of new cards and a lot of these, so there's really not much. And the new cards are what actually have the value. Some of them are really good. Next, modern Commander, pretty much. So cards are moving up. Life Gift is one of the ones I pulled up because it moved up by 204%. I would love to know the reason for this card. Is there an infinite combo? Because as far as I can tell, 3 mana enchantment whenever land enters the whenever land comes into play, you gain 1 life. Okay, yes, this includes everyone's land, but life total, unless you get to infinite, which I'm pretty sure you never allowed to actually say I gained an life. Life total never was a win con, was a consistent win con in most situations. So yeah, that's a weird one. So next is Vedankanori. This card is pretty crazy right now. 65%, $65, 8% gain. Parallel Live, $65, 8% gain. Doubling Season, $89, 5% gain. Some of the big ones, those are the big ones. Feast and Famine, Sword of Feast and Famine, 69.29. No, $70, so 6% gain. So I feel like a lot of these are moving up just because of the new decks that have come out. Liliana has taken a bit of a dip. I actually did bring her up as well. And Pariah Shield. Um, there really has not been too much crazy stuff. I didn't pull up the top 10 movers for today just because I don't think that that's actually as most think. It I've looked at them, it pretty much tracks the market price, and those can be heavily manipulated by the top end cards that people that are being tracked on TCG, etc. So a lot of them, there's $20 for one of them, and then all of a sudden you go to a lightly played and it's $4, and it's like, okay, well, a near mint is $20, a lightly played $4. This is not exactly the kind of purchase I'd want to keep track of. Other than that, obviously, it's still up whenever someone realizes it's too cheap for what they are. So Life Gift, big spike, and Liliana of the Veil dropping back down slowly. You can see that it's still tiptoeing up to its market price. If it sits around about $90, $100, I think that might be the new price unless there's a new printing coming out. It's actually still a really good card. And if Modern starts picking up, it's just going to be a staple. It really is a good card. Continuing on to Pioneer, Elenda, the Dusk Rose, 12% gain. Sacred Foundry, now that's a weird one because that's getting a reprint in a secret layer and will obviously come back in another future. Aether Flux Reservoir, very good card. Westwale Abbey. I wonder if this is because of all the token generators that are coming out for the sets. A pretty good card. I have a couple, but that's now. Ulamog, moving back up after a bit of a drop in the last couple of weeks. Scarab God, good card. Waste Not, good card. So a lot of these very consistent. None of these drops are gains are as insane as what we've seen the last couple of weeks. It looks like things are starting to stabilize. We'll have to see if that holds true. It all depends on what the next thing the government or the banks decide to talk about, release. If they keep talking about taxes and the central banks start talking about we will put a stop to inflation if it gets too far above 2%, the markets might start getting a bit nervous because the central banks just a couple of weeks ago, months ago, said they're not even looking at any of that. So if they start talking like they are looking at it all of a sudden, that might get the markets a bit skittish, but we'll have to see. And yeah, as far as legacy and vintage goes, there really isn't too much change. As far as I can tell, all of these prices seem as people trading in between each other. And I'm not too sure if there's going to be any track. Or I can see, and it's easy to tell, that a lot of the revised cards have moved off this list. I can see a Wheel of Fortune dropping down by 1%, but these revised is what I normally keep track of, especially because of dual lands. These are looking at a lot of the much more rare sets. So I know that Unlimited is a good one to keep an eye on. I have seen that Unlimited has been bought in the last couple of weeks. It's a really good idea if you bought Unlimited a couple of weeks ago because Revised was moving up way faster than, and Unlimited obviously has less printing. So I think we'll have to see how that goes as well. So I think I'm going to call it that. I can see a couple of these cards moving up, but none of them seem to make any specific sense. There's a lot of cards that are moving up by a certain percentage, but they're all reserve list cards and or unique cards that. So I'll call it that. Thanks again for watching, guys. I know this is a really quick market review, but I feel like there has been some plateauing going on. If you can see anything in the market, let me know. But I can see that this is more of a keep your feet, keep your toes in the market, but don't go all in. And if you see anything plateauing out, it's up to you to see if it's going to either drop or continue going back up. Anyways, thanks for watching.